Hey everyone, how you doing? All good? Welcome to another episode of Lair. Today episode 16th, I believe. So hope everyone's doing all right. Hope you are enjoying the sun if you're in a place in which there's some sun to be enjoyed. If not, I feel for you because today where I'm at, it's very good actually. So hope everyone's doing fine. Thank you once again for all the messages supporting the show, congratulating the show, and you know, the usual. As always, it's been really good. All your effort on supporting this this channel, this thing that I'm doing here. There will be. I've been alluding to this for the past maybe 3 weeks, a couple of weeks. There will be some news soon, hopefully next week. So stay tuned for that, okay? But let's start with the usual thing, which is the update of what's happening in the world, because these days, every day that goes by, there's potentially a lot of things to talk about. So this time we have something new on top of the pandemic, which is this hurricane called Lair. I believe that's how it's called, how they called it, which will affect I believe the United States only, if I'm not mistaken. And it seems like it's going to be pretty rough. I'm not sure if it already hit the coast or not. I believe it was predicted to be on Thursday. I might be wrong. So if any one of you know a little bit more about this subject, please just write on the chat. But I believe that's what's happening. So not great, because of course there's going to be destruction. Unfortunately, there will be probably people affected by, in the usual way, by you know, hurricanes in. It's always affecting, it seems like, always the same part of the world. So on top of the pandemic, this is really unfortunate, but hopefully everyone's going to be all right, and we're not going to have like a lot of you know, negative things on top of what's already here, which is a pandemic, which is like crazy what's going on at the moment. Speaking of which, there's obviously more and more cases. We see more and more cases, especially in Europe. So Europe had what was the epicenter at some point. Now this the epicenter drift a little bit to the United States and to South America as well, like Brazil and other countries. And now it seems like there's the new surge in cases in Europe, and it's easy to understand why. It's because the lockdown was lifted, and of course, you know, people will have more contact with each other, they will interact more with each other, they will, in some countries, they are already going into offices. So all of that contribute, I believe, and that's what I'm reading, of course, and it's easy to understand actually, that all of that will contribute to a new surge in cases. France is pretty bad, from what I read, Spain as well. Where else? Well, pretty much everywhere. France, I think I read this a couple of days ago, and I quote, has an what did I write in here? Undeniable surge in cases, and I'm quoting. So, and now I think in some parts of France, I think the masks are now mandatory on the outside. I'm not sure if, I don't think it's everywhere. Maybe it will be everywhere. India, also very problematic situation over there. Unfortunately, that this is what's happening in the world. We all know about the situation, so not great. In the UK, I think there was a discussion until a couple of days ago whether or not the students should wear masks. I'm not sure where this issue stands at the moment. I believe that the decision was they will be required to wear masks while they're in school. Not too sure about this, so don't quote me on this one. I think the decision was made maybe yesterday or something like that. And it seems like the second wave, it's more than likely that will be here with us, unfortunately. nobody knows exactly if this is really the second wave, or some people are guessing whether or not this is the actual second wave, or it's just like the cases surging by the fact that the lockdown was lifted. Not necessarily speaking the second wave as in, you know, the bad weather again, like the flu season again, because the flu season is not here yet. And also, actually, some has been reported some, I believe at the moment, 3 undeniable cases of reinfection. So it seems like, although scientists say that it seems like the body can produce, you know, the good stuff, the antibodies to fight the infection, and not to be able to get the disease twice. It seems like now it's being proved that at least in some cases this is happening. On the good side, on the positive side of things, it seems like the vaccine, there's many companies developing vaccines at the moment, and it seems like it's gonna be here still this year. That's what I've been reading. Not to everyone, of course. I think this will take a while to be available to the general population, but you know, people like doctors and nurses and those on the front line of this fight, I think they will be the ones, of course, to get this first, for obvious reasons. And I think that's gonna start happening still this year. China reported that they're already doing that for a while, but I don't know. I'm not too sure if they're opening this information like that exactly the way that I'm saying or not, but this is what I read. In the UK, Portugal is not in the blacklist, as I just mentioned before. I'm just mentioning Portugal because it was not only it's one of the favorite destinations for English people, it's also my country, so that's why I'm speaking about Portugal sometimes. But a couple of new countries entered in the blacklist: Switzerland and Czech Republic. I'm not really sure. I understand the reasons, don't get me wrong, but I'm not really sure what will be the end game of heading, you know, countries, because of course, you know, if every country is lifting the lockdown rules, of course there will be more infections, and if that's, you know, what triggers the fact that country A or country B will be in the blacklist for the UK, the chances are, in a while, a lot of countries, if not all of them, at least will go through that blacklist for a period of time. So I'm not really sure what will be the end game for this situation here, although I understand the reasons. But this is basically what's happening. So I think the news is 2 countries were added this week to the UK blacklist. I'm calling blacklist. This is my way of saying. I'm not sure if that's I'm sure it's not the official way. VFX, you know, there's no much differences, I don't believe, from past week. Everything seems pretty much the same. There's actually an interesting article flying around that I'll be posting this in the comments later on, about the current situation in VFX in the UK. This is an article specifically about the UK. I believe it's an article from the Televisual magazine. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's the one. And basically, it's basically saying what's the current situation for the majority of the companies in the UK regarding VFX and post-production overall, but more focus on VFX. And what will be the future, what the future holds for this industry in the UK, which is still a very desirable market, because a lot of things pass through the UK regarding, more specifically London, of course, regarding VFX. So it's a country that has a lot of weight in the industry, especially a city like London has a lot of weight in the industry. We'll see what's going to happen, but it's an interesting article that I think you all should read, so I'll be posting this later on. Okay, technical highlight of the week. I had a couple, or more than a couple, to choose from, and I decided to something that is very nuke specific. I'm sorry for those of you that are not compositors that don't work with nuke, even though might be compositors. But this is a very simple, although very useful. I learned a few things here after all these years. There's all these new things to learn. And it's basically a video about the hotkeys in nuke. As I just said, I learned a couple of them, or a little bit more than that actually. So I'll be posting this video also later on. Interesting stuff. They're not covering all the hotkeys, of course. There's, I think, more than 100 or something. We all know a lot of them because we use them in production all the time. But despite of that, I learned a couple of them that I believe they're useful. So maybe you'll find them useful as well. All right. Let's see how is everyone doing here. Wow, there's so many things happening in here. We have people from, I believe, India, Portugal, UK, Germany, to mention a few. Maybe some more. I'm sorry if I'm not remembering all of your countries. I'm sorry. And it's time for the reveal of the tech challenge last week. So the tech challenge last week was a way of achieving, I would say, more, I wouldn't say it's not necessarily correct, but an enhanced in automatic Bangladesh as well. Thank you, and hello to Bangladesh. So I was saying that the tech challenge was basically a technique, or the challenge was to come up with a technique that will give you the color of the dispel that you want by just clicking in any color from your plate, which will, of course, will contribute to edges being achieved quickly and in a better way. And also an automatic way that will give you different colors that will be close to the edge color of your foreground. So you will have in just one go, hopefully, all the colors that you need for getting a good dispel, which goes without saying, it's very important to get a good key. All of them, all of the processes, all of the individual processes are important, and this one has a huge importance as well to get a good key out of your green screens. Okay, and of course, because of that, we're going to reveal our winner. We have a winner. So I'm gonna call him now. I'm just gonna put my headphones on. I'm gonna call him now. We're gonna meet him, and then we're gonna explore the solution together. His solution and my solution, and you'll see that there are some differences. So I think it's going to be interesting to show the differences and what we can do on how we can do this technique that I've just explained. All right. So let's call our guest. Let's see if everything's ready for him. I think everything's fine. So let's call him. See you in 2 seconds. Chis Charlton, how you doing, man?
Hey, how you going, man?
Hey, all good, all good. It's been really anticipated your participation here in the channel. You've also contributed to the first challenge that was, I think, announced maybe 3 weeks ago or a month ago already.
Yeah.
Time goes really fast. At that time, you were not the winner, but you are the winner today. So congratulations on that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for playing along, and we're gonna explore that in just a while. But do you want to present yourself first to the guests? Say where you are, how you doing, what time is where you are? What's the hour? It's a bit late, right?
It's 11:20 at the moment. I'm in Sydney, Sydney, Australia. So. Well, around Sydney. I'm like 2 hours out of Sydney. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty late. It's all right.
It's really late. I know. Thank you.
I'm a night owl. It works for me. So it's
cool. That's good to know, because probably the majority of us are not in that time zone. I don't think. Yeah. Maybe some are, but I don't think the ones that are watching today are. But they're in different time zones around the world. So, but it's not easy, and I thank you for that. Thank you for coming in. Yeah. And
thank you for having me, man.
Of course, man. Anytime. So let's maybe explore the solution together. and to basically tell our viewers how you did your solution and what will be the differences between yours and mine. So let me just...
Sure. I'm keen to see yours.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. So let me just see if I can... Let me just see if I can open Nuke. So here's the challenge, okay? So I'm gonna lay out the channel for everyone, the challenge for everyone. So basically the channel was, and I'm gonna choose a different plate. It's basically this deconstructing this tool that I have. So this is basically the green screen, okay? Just gonna put this to 2 so we run a little bit faster. And then the intention is to basically do a normal dispel, and now from this solution you can pick any target color that you want, and you can pick any color in your foreground to mimic that color of your dispel, okay, without affecting the background, unless in the areas that are being affected by the spill, okay? So you can pick any color and all of that will follow that in the same way, okay? So this is the first part of the challenge. The other part of the challenge is what I call the edge auto target, which will basically give you automatic colors that are close to the edge where it matters. So basically you will have easier time to get your correct or closer to the correct color of your edge, so it can be cut by your alpha. Okay, so that's the challenge, and this is effectively what we are trying to do, is deconstructing this tool in here. So what Chris did, he also did a tool of his own. So let's explore. Uh-oh, what's going on? This was working before, I promise. Right, Chris? This is your tool. Right?
Quality.
Okay,
so is it picking up the format?
Yeah, for some reason it's putting the format
I'm gonna put. I have like a format that is a 1x1 pixel, just so that you can reformat.
That's fine. It's working now. It's working. I just changed it there. Okay. All right. So basically, I'm gonna put that to the actual plate that I've used in the beginning. Okay. So basically, it does the same thing. So you can pick a color of your background. So you do the dispel, the normal dispel, okay, and then you can choose your target color like this, okay. So we're gonna explore how we did it. All right. So Chris, correct me and feel free to talk on top of me. All right.
Sure.
All right. So this is the group unwrap, basically what Chris has in his group. Basically starts with a key light and is using, I'm going to use the same plate. Okay, so he's using the key light to do the spill and to be pre-molted already, so it will be set to the final result. Okay, and then he will choose the constant color that he wants to basically put the background or the dispel color with, right? And then he puts one over the other. So very simple. Again, we have this problem, so I need to change this to root format. Okay, that's fine.
Bad now. I knocked it together too fast.
No, but this was working when I first opened this, because I opened this in a different laptop and it was working. So I'm sure it's fine. For some reason in this session.
Yeah, but you got to build it to fit every situation. It's all good.
It's all good. It's easy to change.
Things to work.
Yeah, exactly. So now you can change this, and this will change your background color. Although, if you don't mind, Chris, I spotted a few things that can be problematic, but we're going to go into that in just a second. Okay. And then for the other part of the solution, Chris used basically an edge extend, which it's a group that Chris created, but it's all Nuke native nodes as it was laid out as part of the rules. So you cannot use anything that it's not a group that we cannot open. So in this case, it's fine. And then you're gonna put the same pre-molted result from the key light on top of that. Okay, so we're gonna have this. And either you choose one or the other, and I believe that's the control that you can have in here, correct?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. So here's the problem that I spotted, Chris. which is when you select certain colors, like for example this, oops, you're gonna have this edge. Okay, and the reason is, I believe it's because you are using the pre-malted result already from the key light directly on top of something else, which in this case is going to be the color that you're going to choose. Okay, and also by doing this, you're not affecting effectively the luminous. You're just putting the already luminous extracted from the key light on top of a certain color. So this will give you some problems on edges sometimes like this. Okay.
Yeah.
In my solution, we don't have this problem because I'm doing things a little bit differently, and this, I think, it's all what this channel is all about, is to share different techniques. So if I choose this, you see that I don't have any edge problem in here, okay, with the same color. So the way that I did it, I'm going to do it from scratch. Maybe it's easier to follow. Okay, so here's our plate. I normally do, and I think I already mentioned this here, I normally do my Dispel in a very simple way. So key light to start with, and then we're going to minus the result of the key light with our plate. So we have the Dispel Map. Okay, and this will, oops, this will be our Dispel Map here. Come on, don't crash. Okay, there you go. So this is our Dispel Map. So this will highlight, for those of you that don't know this technique, this will highlight where the actual spill is happening, if also happens in the characters. For example, this lamp here is getting some spill contamination from the screen. Okay, so this will be what we can call the Dispel Map. And now we can transform this spill map into a luminous by just taking out the saturation, a luminous pass, that we can then merge this on top of our key light.
Do you max it, or do you just do the average with the luminance?
I plus it.
You plus it. Okay, right.
You mean the saturation?
Yeah, the saturation. Because like I fight with myself about that, is to do like use the max or do the average. So
you'll see that if you choose different math operations, the results will be slightly different. But this will be the one that is going to be more accurate to the rebuild of your plate. Although sometimes I end up using others because it's working more for me in certain situations. So that's why in my tool I have this available to me, this choice. I can choose different math, but it's basically the same operation. The operation goes in the same way. So I'll put this to plus, okay, and now I have this with the same luminance as my original one, except I don't have any greens in my foreground here. And now what I want to change, it's actually at this level. I want to change things at this level. I want to change this color to the color that I want. This is exactly what I'm thinking, which is something different than what you're going to do, than what you did in your solution, Chris. And this works better because basically whatever you're taking out from this operation, you're putting this back in. So you never lose detail and you don't have problems with the edges, because this result will going to be added plus together on with this one here. So you're not living with this one by itself. So the edges that you're going to have here are not going to be shown because you're adding your luminous back on top of the plate. So you're going to have this color on top, and as you can see, you don't see any edges with this color. So the trick is to do the change of color at this level. And a way you can do it is again, with the constant, the same constant. Let me just put the same format as this one, which will be, I believe, this is set to, it's a 4K. Don't know why I choose a 4K one, but anyway. So what you want to do at this level is to mimic exactly the same color that you picked from your screen on your key light in here. So you're going to pick this same color. So you're going to link this color here. Okay, it's the same thing. And now you're going to take the color in the same way. Okay, so same thing. So this color is the same as this, except it lives by itself, right? And now you're going to open a new constant. Actually, I'm going to copy the same one because it has already the format that I want.
Yeah.
And then you're going to pick a color that you want. Say, for example, somewhere around this face, here, this one. Now you're going to do a simple operation, which is going to be a divide, multiply. I believe that's exactly what I'm using here, exactly, divide, multiply. Yeah. So you're going to divide this color by the one that you chose, okay, which will give you this result. Okay, you'll see that if the pipes are not correctly with the right order, you'll see that the result is not going to be the same, because at this level you don't know which one is the correct one unless you plug the inverse operation with for the divide, which is the multiply. That's only when you can see. And now you're going to put this one multiplied back here, and now you have that color. I can see that it's a wrong color because this is inverted, so now it's the correct one. Okay, so now you can plus it together, and now you have it. You don't have any edge problems. So if I pick this color again, oops, you see that I don't have those edges, because I'm changing things at the luminance level, which is the level that it's much safer to, I wouldn't say necessarily, well, I'm gonna say the correct part in which you wanna change the color of your Dispel, because you don't want to mess with these guys. Okay, you want to leave this intact. You want to mess with the luminous in terms of values. So for example, if I don't have that operation there, and if I want to change this color, I should change this color here. So if I want to put this a bit more green or a bit more red or whatever, I do it here at the luminance level. And in this time, in this method, I won't have any edge problems. So this is exactly what I want to do, except I want to do this automatically. And to do this automatically, I do a divide multiply operation like this. Okay, so now I can choose any color, and this will change to any color I want. Okay, that's exactly how it's done. Cool. So yep. The second part is just gonna steal this because it's already done, and we don't lose any more time. So the other part is to basically do something similar to what you did, although not as convoluted in terms of like all the detail and all that stuff with to grow edges. Yeah. But it's going to be basically the same thing. As in, I'm going to take the pre-malted result of my key light, and I'm going to basically, because I don't like to live with the pre-malted result like that, so I always use a copy version of that alpha, so I can extract the actual color that I want. So now I'm going to do this on purpose in this case, because now I'm going to grow with just a blur and pre-malt, and then I can blur it as much as I want in here, this result. Actually, there's in this one, normally what I do in here, there's a relationship between these two blurs, because if I grow this one here, this is linked to an object that doesn't exist anymore. Oh, come on. It's growing. Okay, so this result in here will be this, and this one will be a blurred version, which is a percentage of this blurring in here, which in this case I think I set this to divided by 2.5. So it will give me just the color information. I don't care so much about the detail, I care more about the color information, which is in the same way that I did it in this area here. I don't care so much about the detail, I care more about the color. Okay, so if I don't have this blurring in here, the result will be slightly different. As you can see, it will have more detail, but I want to blur all the edges because I just want the color more than anything else. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So in this case, I'm not going to merge this with a color. I'm going to merge this with merge divide. I'm going to merge this divide with this guy, and now I'm going to have this result. So it's all about color for me. I don't care so much about the detail. And normally, if I use this tool to do the spill on the edges, I use this very close to the edge because I just need a little bit. You know, if I have a good alpha, I just need a little bit. I just need this color to be very similar to where it matters. In this, for example, in this like little hair in here, the surrounding colors, I just need to be, you know, a little bit bigger than what they were originally, so I can get this transition in a better way. So probably this will be how much I would grow. I wouldn't grow more than this, but my edges will be intact because they come from here. They will be intact. I'm just messing with the luminous in multiple ways, either this way in which I'm growing the actual edge, or in a color that I'm going to pick from any part of my script. And this way I won't have problems with edges because again I'm messing with the luminous and not with a pre-malted result coming from directly from the key light to be added on top of anything else. Cool. So that's how it's done.
I didn't go quite that fancy. I was slapping it together pretty fast. I am actually using a very similar technique in the tool that I literally managed to rush out just before coming on today. My C Dispel. Just finished that off today and put a video out on it showing it actually working. And it does actually use something very similar to that under the hood, where I'm actually doing the saturation and multiplying and dividing. Few other little tricks in there to kind of make it so you can get a really fast and really accurate dispel with one click. So yeah, totally agree with that.
Cool. So very simple stuff. There's not. It seems like something very complicated. How did come up with something like this? But I said in the very beginning, and your solution was actually very simple as well. But I said in the very beginning, this has nothing to do with fancy stuff. It's all about simple things that you all can do it. There's no like, normally simple things are the best ones, trust me. We've all came across with solutions that are super complicated. They do the job, but then, you know, to change something, you have to change in multiple ways. You don't know exactly how it works, and it's super complicated. So if you think about things very simple, in a very simple way, I think everyone will benefit with it, including, or to start with, you know, yourself as a compositor. Not you necessarily. I'm not talking about, or I'm not talking with Chris, I'm talking with everyone, me included as well. So very simple approach to something that can save your time in a, you know, very often actually. With that said, for edges, I normally don't use this technique. Sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't use this technique.
Vector.
I use an IBK.
You use IBK? Oh, okay, radio, man.
I use IBK. I use IBK with an unpremold. With an unpremold.
Okay, right.
Maybe I can show it in here. So, for example, what I'm trying to say, let's say that this is my screen. So, if I, now that we're talking about this subject, might as well tell everyone what I'm talking about. Okay, so if I use an IBK gizmo, like here, and then I choose these two as my color and this as my foreground, I'm gonna have, so I change this to green, I'm gonna have this result, right? And this result, if you merge these to a checkerboard, is actually pretty good. It's a pretty good dispel with good edges already. So let me choose checkerboard. Checkerboard is not the ultimate test, but I don't have any other one in here, so we have to live with this one for now. Okay, and again, this is a 4K. Okay, so there you go. So you see that, you know, we don't have like, we have a nice blend to start. Look at this one. We have a very nice blend. So what I do for edges is I use this result and then I put an unpremold, which will give us like very strange colors, but there will be enough extra information so our alpha can cut all the detail that we need. You see what I'm saying? So this is what I use normally, even though I'm talking about this technique, and sometimes I use it because when this one doesn't work, this one comes into play and probably saves the actual you know, comp or spill in this case. And that's exactly what our job is all about. It's about solutions. If you don't have one solution that's working, you have another one that probably will come and in handy to do the job for you. So that's how I did it, man. Hopefully everyone find it like useful. You can use any dispel process you want. I always advise people to use something, whether it's a dispel or any other technique, something that you truly understand, because if something breaks, you don't know how to work it out. For example, a lot of people still to this day, even though it's a very old tool, the Dispel Madness thing, a lot of people love that tool for some reason. It's not my preference, but that's beside the point. It's not me we're talking about here, we're talking about everyone. The thing is, if you don't really understand, if you need to change something, you don't know how to do it. So build your own stuff. It's always a good approach to start, you know, understanding exactly what's behind the hood. Or if you want to really use a technique from someone else, do it. But go inside the group and study it, because you'll know exactly when it breaks and how it breaks and how to overcome that problem if that happens. Sorry, Chris, you were saying something.
No. That's okay. There was one that I was really in love with up till recent, but it had some limitations. It was one called AP Dispel, which was I loved it, and I kind of started putting it in my keys and stuff. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like when you learn more techniques, you find better approaches and better things. But yeah, you've got to. I totally agree. You've got to pull it apart, the tools.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to you know, us deciding what's the best, if this one is the best, because everybody thinks that their way is the best one, right? But the thing is, what's best for you is actually what works for you, as long as you understand it. That's all it matters. You know what I mean? The rest is just, you know, it doesn't matter. The rest is just noise. So find what it feels good for you, understand it in the best way. That's always my advice to everyone, especially people in my teams. Understand it. I don't want you to use my tools if you're not comfortable with it. You know, here's a suggestion, here's a tool set that I think it can help you. But if you're not comfortable with it, if you want to use something different that you're more comfortable with, as long as you understand, so it doesn't break and you're going to be stuck, that's all it matters. You can use whatever you want, and that's always my approach to things. So I gave you some tips in here to all of you in terms of the Dispel, but you use whatever feels right for you. So yeah, that's it. I believe there's a question here. Let's see if there's any questions.
Ooh.
Let's see. So Jacob, I have a question about creating a Dispel map. So when you dispel your plate with Keylight and then you minus it from the original plate, you basically get your green screen. But it just works because Keylight already pre-molds the image and the background gets black, right? So when I use a Dispel Madness, for example, and I want to create a Dispel map with the same method, does this mean that I have to key and pre-mold the image before I create my Dispel map? Listen, Jacob, I would love to answer your question, but I don't work with the Dispel Madness, so I don't know what's inside. So maybe Chris can answer that.
Not necessarily in Dispel Madness, but I feel like a lot of people don't know this trick with Keylight, where you can pick your background color with the screen color, and you pick, you know, as per usual, your color, and then you go in and open up your what is it, the color wheel, your color picker, and make sure you've got the TI turned on, temperature, magenta, intensity, and you grab your intensity slider and you pull it all the way down, and that will actually give you a pretty good normalized dispel straight off the bat. It's a pretty good out of the box, you know, just works kind of case scenario. It's still not bulletproof, but for a lot of those case scenarios when it's just like you need something done, it'll do.
Cool. There you go, Jacob. Another tip for you. I'm not sure if either me or, well, I didn't answer your question for sure. I'm not sure if Chris answered your question, but at least he gave you some tips that you can try. But my advice stands, which is build your own, whether it's the Dispel Madness based thing or whatever, and understand it, how it works. You'll be able to answer all of those questions, and not only that, you'll be able to come up with new stuff that otherwise you won't be able to. So that will be my advice to you, Jacob. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying, and nothing like doing exactly your own stuff, because you learn a lot with that process, and then you can drift away from your own if you don't like what you did, but at least you understand that process, and then you can move to other things. You know what I mean? So that will be my general advice. So let's now have this chat with Chris. So Chris, as I said in the beginning, you were actually one of the most active viewers in the beginning of this show, actually. So I thank you for that. And you've been a very active member of this community, both on the YouTube. I
intend to keep that up too. So, you know.
Both on the YouTube channel and the Discord server as well. So thank you for that. And just mentioned that you are in Sydney, and you've done all your career in Sydney, right? I believe that you actually started in Animal Logic, correct?
Yeah, I started there. I did at Animal. They gave me a great run in their roto prep which I don't know. I think they're still doing. I think it's called like Ready Set Go or something now. I'm not sure what the exact naming is, but they gave me a really good rundown of how to actually do roto and how to do prep work or cleanup. It was very intense time, but it was a really good course and really thorough. So that was kind of like my starting point coming into the industry. So
cool. Did you? I'm sure you know Matt, that was actually a guest on this show as well.
Maybe. Oh, you mean Matt Estella?
Yeah.
No, I don't personally know him. I would love to have time and actually chat to Matt because, like, yeah, he's one of those people I've always revered. It, particularly now that I'm moving more into Houdini and that kind of side of things.
Houdini guy.
Yeah, I've listened to a ridiculous amount of Matt's talks. I'm not going to lie, but I still have yet to meet him in person and be able to have that opportunity. So
I'm asking this because not only is in Sydney as well, he worked at Animal, and he still is attached with Animal at the UTS, if I'm not mistaken. It's how it's called, right?
I have worked with in passing at Allura with Chris Ebbing, who's part of that as well. I believe. I think I might be misspeaking there, but I don't think I'm wrong. But yeah, we cross paths, but very different departments. And,
Well, listen. I actually only met in person, just a few weeks ago, because even though we wrote that article together, the Expressions 101, it was. We've never met. I was in Sydney for a while. We have common friends, but we never get to meet each other until this show happened. So I had to come up. Sometimes I told this in other situations that in order for me to catch up with some people, it seems like I had to come up with something like this in order for me to do so. And that's exactly what happened with Matt.
I honestly can't tell you how many times I've read that article as well. Like, I've referred back to that so many times throughout my career, be it when I was at Allura, trying to figure out how to hack / something together for a helicopter spin, or when I was at Res trying to use it for what was it? I was trying to do it for ST maps and kind of tiling stuff. But yeah, I've referred back to that so many times over. So that was a great article, and I'm really glad that you guys have kept updating it as well.
Yep. There's another update coming soon. It's just don't get too excited. Don't get too excited because there's nothing new. It's just like some mistakes that are there in some formulas that of course shouldn't be there.
I haven't picked them up. I'm not going to lie. So you've snuck it under the radar.
Nobody complained yet, so I don't think nobody noticed it yet. But there's some things that need to be checked for sure. I'll try to do that as soon as I can. But by the way, people, if you don't know what article we're talking about and you want to check it out, I think you can interact with the bot in the chat by typing !article, and the bot will give you the link for the article. In any case, you can type in Google, I believe, Expressions 101 Nukepedia, and you'll get that article appearing to you as well. So you've been in Sydney all the time. You started your career in Animal Logic, and you've done a little bit of everything actually. You've done, and you just mentioned this now, you've done you worked in film, you worked in TV, you worked in what you guys over there call TVCs, which is commercials for us here in Europe. And do you have
I've done EVBs as well, which is one that's not very common at all. It's emotional benefit videos, which they were a lot of fun, but that's like a really odd and weird acronym. So whatever.
Okay, well,
whatever they could sell to the client, like cool, whatever.
It's a new one. I never came across with that name anyway. So we learn new things every day. So there you go. So. Because you worked on all these mediums, do you have a preferred medium? Because in Sydney, of course, you do. Okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I like TVCs, to be honest. Like, it's very high pressure. Like, having clients breathing down your neck. I know you've had a bit of a bout, and then you're aware of what those pressures are like. It can be sometimes pretty intimidating, but at the same rate, I prefer the speed of that and the solution, like solving problems regularly.
Yep.
As opposed to kind of like trudging through a 2-year-long project that I remember.
Yes.
I remember working on. I was in Roto and prep at the time, working on Deepwater Horizon, and just like every shot was mud and ash, and I was just like, this is just. By the end of it, it's like I'm so tired of seeing this kind of palette of brown.
It's always the same palette, right?
Yeah, like the result was great. Don't get me wrong, but it was just like as an artist, it was a little bit bit of a trudgery. So I prefer TVCs because you get to be more creative and you move on from projects much quicker.
Yeah, it's more fast-paced, no doubt about it. Yeah, it's a different mentality as well. We've had some people here coming from that world. One of them, my good friend,
you
Stefan.
can play with a lot too. Like you can cut corners, and people don't know. Like the ridiculous discussions you have. Like you don't have it. You do have ridiculous discussions in film, like when you're in a room looking at a 10K image and you're zoomed in on 6 pixels arguing about it, going like, is this the problem with your film? If it is, maybe reassess. However, like you can't say that, obviously. However, but like when you've got that with TVC side, people are like, oh, the grain's just right, and you're like, there's no grain on this. I just cut that corner entirely, or I added it in.
It's a different mentality. It's a different game. The clients are more concerned with different things rather than in a film environment, for example, or in a TV environment, because TV these days, let's face it, is pretty much what film was until very recently, and is still, of course. So it's a different mentality, and different people. That's why I was asking you. Different people prefer different things exactly because of this different mentality and approach to things sometimes. But have you ever?
I don't mind Netflix stuff as that's a bit fun because like that's still got high turnover.
Yeah,
it's you get a little bit kind of technical challenge of challenge of the week. Solve this weird problem that you never had to solve before. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
The TV shows, Netflix stuff, and all the others. There's actually an acronym for that. I forgot what the acronym for all these streaming services is. I think it's EOV.
I don't know it yet.
There's an acronym.
Okay, right.
I can't remember. I might be wrong. Maybe that's not the one. And I cannot think even what's the actual word apart from the acronym is. I'll try to look it up. But
I'm used to acronym hell. I've gone from being in IT and AV at one stage, and as a teacher, and like the acronyms, and there's just so many. It's
I know. That's why I don't remember this one.
Kills you.
But because of all those experiences and the fact that you're also a developer, and I want to talk to you with you a bit about that in just a second. But have you ever, because you have a multitude of things that you can do, not only in conjunction with each other or separate from each other, right? Have you ever thought about moving around? And I'm asking you this because you've always been in Sydney, and for example, of course, in comparison with Europe, it's a huge distance, but you have New Zealand that is much closer, and of course, in New Zealand we have Weta. Have you ever thought about that in any part of your life?
I definitely have. I'm not gonna lie, like I've had offers overseas before, and when I was younger, that would have been amazing. I would have been totally down with it. But now that I've got a house, well, a unit, not a house, but like my partner's here. I don't want to uproot her and her job and her situation. And as you get more entrenched, it's just like that lifestyle of being a digital nomad works very well when you're young, but I just don't feel it's very good as you get older, and trying to like I'm focused on trying to build myself a future like financially as well,
of course,
like thinking of retirement years down the track of how to approach that stuff. And I don't see that equation of hippity hopping all over the place as being a very effective way of doing that. And I know that has hindered me quite a lot in my career, because like not taking those opportunities. There are definitely certain jobs that I really wish I did take, even in retrospect, even though I thought originally they weren't going to be particularly good outcomes. But by not taking those opportunities, you know, those opportunities could have led to other ones. So
sure, yeah.
Being as local as I am, I have kind of limited myself a lot. But then again, I'm pretty happy with how things have turned out so far.
That's all that
and
matters,
I'm very
man.
keen on doing it remote. So, you know, like now, one of the big positives I think that comes out of this whole situation that's happening globally at the moment is it shows that we can be, you know, remote. Like I put a big focus when I moved. Like I moved from Sydney to Gosford, which is 2 hours out from Sydney, and commuting every day, you know, that's 2 hours in, 2 hours out. It gets to be a pretty good wear and tear by the end of a week. I know people that do it, but it's not for me. But it's one of those things now, like I've ensured in my buildings particularly that I've got high speed internet, like NBN's what we call it over here. I don't know what it's called everywhere else, but it's Australian internet, so it's still, there are still limits between the continents to other continents. But like a bottlenecks for that stuff, that's just what it is. But you know, we still have, like, when I used to do lights and sound for events, we used to do medical operations via video conference. If it was good enough for that, like, and that was back in 2000, you know, it's clearly there's enough there to be able to work with, and I don't feel like the reasons are there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was about to say. If there's any positive,
I get security-wise, like security, but then, you know, you've got people who work for banks who are
exactly.
not.
Always my example. Always my example as well. Always the banking industry. I've been doing this for years, and there's no problems. And if there's like an industry in which there's a lot of secrets and things that people don't want other people to know about, this is one of them, right? So the banking industry.
My partner, she's in database, so like I get a very clear understanding of that side as well, and she deals with a lot of those kind of, you know, dealing with people's bank details and whatnot. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, that's high security. Yeah. I just don't see that kind of currently leading up to this situation that we've had being able to be pressed, but now it's kind of forced that discussion, which is hopefully a positive that comes out of
I think it's going to be positive, at least, at the very least, and I don't think it will stop there, at the very least, to question exactly what's the usual way that we've been doing the jobs that we've been doing so far in this industry. At least, you know, there's now a real discussion that we should have, because we were obliged to, you know, move into a different situation, because it was either that or nobody would work, and the clients would not get the work and stuff like that. So there's definitely good things that I believe that will come out of this situation, and this will at least put a stop, or it will help other people that, like you, that for several reasons they thought about moving, but they don't feel like moving. They can't move. Some people they just can't move around for many different reasons, and that doesn't take away the talent that is there. You know what I mean? So this situation can actually be good for everyone, including the companies that will able to get better talent eventually in any country without necessarily have to move that people overseas, if that's the case, to go and work in the different continent in some cases as well, just for the fact that, you know, the work can be done anywhere, and just for the fact that they need to be there for any political reason or no reason really, because a lot of these things that people talk about our industry and not being able to do this overseas, they're not really real reasons, and again, this is the proof. What we're living at the moment, this is proof that they're not like as real as at least they want us to feel like. This job can be done anywhere. This job can be done anywhere. And we already discussed this in many other episodes in here, but hopefully this will bring everyone together a bit better. And speaking of new companies and things that are changing all the time, you also worked recently at Future Associate, right?
With Lindsay's Get Up.
With Lindsay Adams, right?
Yeah.
How was that? Because that was a brand new company that was formed very recently, and Lindsay was able to secure a very good job, which was the help me out here, the
Watchmen. I think that was the big one that I saw. I actually wanted to come on board for that. I wasn't there for that one, unfortunately. I was very keen for that one because I have the Watchmen book actually on my shelf. Like, I was a big fan of that years back. So
I love the movie. I'm not a fan of comics, even though I already mentioned it here as well. My brother is a Marvel comics artist, but I'm not
I didn't know that, man.
But I'm not a comics guy. So there's nothing I can tell you about anything that happens in comics because I don't follow comics.
I geek Comic-Con all the time. Like, I've been friends with a few artists, and I go help one of my mates out, and I have sold a comic once in the past, but
cool.
like I've put my hand in that side of things.
All right.
But
I'm not that type of guy.
I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm okay with that.
Well, I guess we all, if we are in this industry, we have to be nerds at some point, and in some areas, not necessarily all the same areas, but in some areas for sure. But that's not my type of nerdiness, if I can say that. But I watched the film and I really liked it. That there's something different about the film that I really love. So Lindsay was able to secure that project, and a lot of companies worked on that project as well, and a lot of them were brand new companies. So that was clearly a decision from the client to have like many companies for many different reasons that I don't even know what are they. But I was about to ask you how was that experience, but apparently you did not work in that project, right?
No, I was there. I worked like on one or maybe two. I don't even remember exactly. 1 or 2 shots on King, which I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen yet. I probably should. And I worked on another one, which was what was it? It's some US TV series. I think it's on Netflix. I don't remember. I worked a fair bit on that.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. It was really cool because like I'd worked with a lot of those people for be it at Allura or done training with them at Animal Logic. So it was really cool to work with a lot of those people. But it was coming up towards the tail end of me being like, I'm overdoing this 4-hour commute thing.
Wow,
so,
that's not very pleasant.
That was nothing to do with him. He was great to work with, but it was just
I understand. Like, totally.
Totally, 4 hours a day just gets a bit much. It's all good.
Yes. I don't blame you. Right? We just touched the fact that you are also a developer. Not only do you in that line of work, do you work as a nuke developer primarily, or did you work as a normal pipeline guy, or?
Well, I've worked in 4 different pipelines now, like in very different kind of stages. Like at Res was where I kind of started really looking at pipeline, because I remember there was like a day I was doing a lot of you wear a lot of hats when you're in like TVC. I was doing a lot of editorial outputs for TVCs, and I think I got through like 65 outputs in a day, and was just like, you have to QC it and ensure everything's bang on certain time code and whatnot. And I got to the end of the day, I'm just like, there's got to be an easier way. I don't want to do it this way anymore. This is ridiculous, because it was all very manual, and then I started doing like moving into nested sequences to kind of deal with that stuff. And then I started looking at doing it with nuke instead, which I didn't get hugely far down that road before I moved on from there. I then like got really heavy into pipeline when I was at Broda under Richard Sutherland, who was amazing to work for and was a really great mentor for me.
Yeah, I worked with him as well.
Oh, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, at Luma, long time ago.
If I got any chance to work with Richard again, I would drop everything and go work with him. I don't care where it is. I loved working with Richard. So I got to kind of, because he was really bogged down at Rhoda, and I was kind of like, look, I'm happy to learn anything and take on any of the stuff that frees you up to do other things, because you're more valuable than I am. I need you kind of not being bogged down in it. And so he really helped me and gave me a lot of autonomy to do that, and it really helped me to build that skill set.
Cool.
But I also go through a ridiculous amount of tutorials just daily. Like I'm very voracious with how many articles I read.
That's what we have to do, man. And I always say the same thing, and I've mentioned this many times, more than I can count in this channel. This, for those of you that are starting out or planning to start out this profession, this is not one of those professions that you learn everything that you had to learn in school. Sometimes you learn one or two things in your day-to-day job. If you want to progress in this career, you have to learn pretty much every day. There's no other way. You have to learn and read a lot, read as much as you can, watch as many videos as you can, try things as much as you can, because it's very different to read about things and to try them out. It's completely different. All right, because we all have. The other day I saw this sentence, something like, when I'm in the shower, I win all these imaginary arguments. And that's exactly what happens in your mind. In your mind, you might think that everything is gonna work out if you do this and this and that, and if you do, and then in a practical way, it doesn't work. So there's nothing like really try things out and then figure out by yourself. And guess what? You're gonna learn a ton by just doing that. A ton of things. So for those of you that are starting out now, or want to start out, or you want to progress in your career, I'm going to mention exactly what I've been saying for the past couple of, more than a couple of weeks. Actually, since the beginning of this show, which is, this is a great time to do that. This is a great time. The world is on pause.
Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity for you to, evolve as well. Okay, the world is evolving, and you have to evolve as well. And this is your time. So this will be my ultimate advice to everyone, whether you guys are starting out or you don't know, you're a little bit lost because of what's happening. This is exactly what's happening. It's a time to develop your skills for sure. So let's see if there's any questions from people. By the way, people that are watching, if you have any questions, sending them to us, and then we're going to read them at some point. I don't think there's any new questions in here. Sabine says, I love comics. Cool, nice. That's good to know. And I knew that already. Sabine is our moderator, and we worked together. Right. We worked together for a while, and I know that she's a fan. She's a fan. What else do we have in here? Because I had like a question. By the way, in terms of the pandemic situation, and this is always my intro part of the show, how things over there in Australia? Because sometimes we hear some things. It seems like the Victoria state is actually, facing some difficulties, right? More than New South Wales. But do you want to talk about that?
So there's no problem with that. Yeah, I'm not personally down there, so I can't really speak to it in the very real sense of first-hand experience. But Victoria is, it's having troubles because they had some decent size outbreaks, and we've closed off borders between states. For main traffic, there's still transportation going through there. It's not like a hard lockdown. In New South Wales, it's not too bad. In rural New South Wales, like where I am, people do wear masks going to the shopping centres, but it's not like all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas if I actually managed to avoid Sydney, and I'm not going to lie, being up here, I'm very glad I moved away from Sydney.
Okay, that's good to know.
But I went to Sydney to have a chat actually with one of my former employers not that long ago, and it was the first time I'd been in Sydney since everything. And I'm not going to lie, it hit me a lot more than I realized, because up where I am in Gosford, it's a bit of a bubble. Whereas in Sydney, like, I was in Surrey Hills, and it just, like, Surrey Hills is a bit of a, popular area. There's lots of people. Normally it's a very active area, and it was really weird because, like, a lot of the shops were closed. There were hardly any people in the street, so it was very surprising.
And especially to me. Surrey Hills, it's all about that, isn't it? There's a lot of restaurants and all that. That's what I used to live, actually, Crown Street. That's what I used to live, which is actually where Res that you just mentioned is. But and in terms of, like, are people going back to offices already, or they're pretty much like working from home, or it depends?
Depends. Like, I've got a mate, Antonio, who's working at Rota at the moment, and I ran into him actually not that long ago up this way, and he was saying that he was working from home, and that it was a really weird situation with it all, and they're kind of getting their way through it. So, but that's really the only company that I've really spoken to that much about it. I do know one or two other companies. That's not true. I do know one or two other companies that are actually still in office and working, but they're still kind of very keep distance.
Of course,
I think that's a smart choice. I don't think
so. It's more or less, from what you can say, from what you're saying, it's more or less what's happening in Europe. Pretty much, there's no much differences apparently from what you say. Yeah, even though, as I said, also, I think last week, some companies are actually in VFX are actually already taking people into the offices to work. So it seems like it's starting. Not all the countries, actually. I just think about one country that is actually actively doing that for VFX. But at some point this will have to happen, right? Fingers crossed we're not going to have like a massive second wave that it's going to put everything in lockdown again, because I don't think the world could take another lockdown in terms of financial hit. But we'll see.
It's a hard situation. I don't know how that's going to pan out. Like, there is kind of a bubble, but there is kind of also that positive side that we're all in it together. So we're all kind of at the same mercy of each other with it. So, and
that's actually a positive thing to say, even though it doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't sound positive, but it is actually a positive.
Yeah, because we're all in this together. That's the truth. We're all in this together, especially in our community, VFX community. For sure, we are being affected severely with this situation because we are highly dependent on what's happening outside the buildings, which is the filming stage of what we do every day, right? And the fact that we cannot, the cinemas are closed, obviously, we just have one medium, which is a very big medium, which is the TV and all the Netflixes and other things like that. Of course, they still exist, and from what I can read, they grew a lot during this time, which is easy to understand. But of course, there's all the other things being affected. So we're all in this together, and that's even though this doesn't solve anything per se, but I think it helps people to realize that you're not in a worse situation than the majority of us in the VFX. So I think that's a positive message to everyone. Cool. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for coming in once again.
I don't think appreciate it. Thank you.
No, all right, man. Anytime. I don't think there's many questions or any other questions from our viewers. So We are over 1 hour actually, around 20 minutes.
I can
over
talk pretty easily.
No, it was me who was talking, most of the talking actually. So once again, thank you once again, Chris, for coming in, for being such an active member in our community, Compiler community, of course. And I wish you all the best. Hopefully you're going to still be active in our community in Discord. You can interact, by the way, if some of you have questions for Chris, whether they might be. Chris is on our Discord channel, and it's very easy to spot because he's actually using his name, not
I changed it around. I was using Birdinane. I was using that on Nukepedia as well. I've got tools under Birdinane, which no one knows who the hell that is. So I swapped things around so that people could actually understand who I am. So yeah, make it a bit easier.
So there you go. So it's easy to find Chris over there, and as you can see, it's pretty easy to have a conversation with. So I'm sure he will answer all your questions. If you don't have any questions now, but you might think you have later on, you can bug Chris. It's me saying this, by the way. It's me saying that you can bug Chris all you want. It's up to him. We'll figure it out.
That's what I want to be like. As I was saying.
No, I'm just kidding.
No. I mentioned this to you beforehand. Like, what I'm personally trying to do at the moment is not necessarily actively move back to a specific in-studio role. What I want to personally do is kind of become like the people's TD, or the artist's TD, and have like a Patreon kind of go, and have people sign on for that, so it doesn't have that kind of cost overhead that hiring a TD would be for one artist situation. Because like I've tried to do that, and it's not cost effective for an artist to hire someone else at the normal day rate that they would be at. So I'm trying to do that instead, so people can bug me for whatever tool they want, be it in Nuke or Natron or in Houdini, and Unreal is where I'm heading at the moment. But yeah, I'm trying to build those kind of tools. So yeah, and have them supplied to people so that I can kind of support myself through that method. So yeah, I'm very open to people bugging me. I'm really always very keen to see someone else's approach to a problem as well. Like I really like seeing 10 different approaches of the same problem. Yep. It's great.
That's what we do all the time, right? We have to have that.
So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. So there you go, guys. You can find Chris in our Discord channel and other mediums. I'm sure it's easy for you to follow him on Facebook and other mediums, I'm sure. Thank you once again to everyone that is watching this today, and see you actually in 2 weeks. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do this in the next week, so see you in about 2 weeks, but I'm going to post as usual the banner for the next one whenever that might be, but it's going to be more or less in 2 weeks. All right, bye bye guys, see you around. Chris, stay on so we can have a final chat between us. Yeah, all right, bye bye guys, see you.
No.